Hi everybody, my name is Emmanuel Byamukama. I'm the Extension Plant Pathologist at South Dakota State University. And here in this field, we'll be talking about some diseases of wheat and more specifically Fusarium head blight. So we're in a trial here where we are misting the plots and also inoculating the plots to increase disease pressure so we can evaluate products that are being applied to control this disease. But before I tell you more about the trial, I'll talk a little bit about the disease. So Fusarium head blight is a fungal disease. It's a fungal pathogen that causes this disease. And this pathogen is going to survive on crop residue. Corn can be a source of this disease, but also small grains. The pathogen will survive on the residue. And then in the spring, these little dots you see, those are the survival structures of the fungus. The fungus is called Fusarium graminearum. That's the main pathogen that causes this disease. And when these structures of the fungus absorb moisture in the spring, they expand and then they spew out the spores. And these spores are called ascospores. And once these are blown by wind and they land on a wheat head that is flowering, then that's when we start to see the disease develop, as we can see here. We can have secondary conidia produced from infected heads that will infect more heads, but actually the main source of the disease is going to be the overwintering inoculum that infects wheat once we reach the flowering stage. So that's briefly the life cycle of this disease. The pathogen again is going to survive on crop residue. Corn stalks can also be a source of this pathogen, so that means we really wouldn't want to rotate corn and wheat because we're going to get more inoculum of this disease. But we can also have the spores blown by wind to neighboring fields. So because it's a fungal disease and the spores can be blown by wind, rotation in itself will not be enough to control this disease. So what we've been doing here, as I mentioned, we have a trial here where the plots are misted. We also inoculate in order to increase the disease pressure so we can evaluate the efficacy of different products we apply to control Fusarium head blight. So as you can see in this field here, we really have good disease pressure, much as we've been dry and hot, but because we misted and because we put inoculum here, we are seeing really good levels of the disease, and we can also see product differences. So here you can see where we applied a fungicide, we are seeing really good control of the Fusarium head blight, whereas here, which is untreated plot, you can see that almost every head has this disease. So Fusarium head blight, is going to cause the heads to be bleached. You can have a few canals, a few spikelets that are diseased, or you can have the entire head bleached out because of Fusarium head blight. So Fusarium head blight, is going to cause reduced yield, but you can also have problems with the quality of the grain. So the FDA recommended levels of the mycotoxin that is produced by this fungus is 2 parts per million. And the main mycotoxin is deoxynivalenol, or DON for short. And so this fungus, not only does it cause direct yield loss in terms of low test weight and low yield, but you can also have issues because of the quality where the mycotoxin in the grain is too high. As I mentioned, the maximum level of the mycotoxin in the grain that's allowed is 2 parts per million, and beyond that you can be docked or the grain can be rejected at the elevator. So here, in addition to evaluating several products to see how effective they are in controlling this disease, we also look at timing. When is the best time to put that fungicide in order to control Fusarium head blight? The best timing we've found from previous years of testing is at flowering. So when heads are at 50% flowered, that's when you want to come in and put a fungicide. But we have also looked at days before flowering and shortly after flowering. Can you still have efficacy in terms of controlling Fusarium head blight? And what we've found, what research shows, is that the best timing still remains at flowering. So 50% of the heads are flowering, you come in and put a fungicide. If it is rainy and for some reason you can't get in your plots, in your field, you can still put a fungicide 2, 3, 4 days after flowering, but the efficacy does reduce. So again, you have to keep that in mind. Also recently, what we've been testing are some of the products that can be applied before flowering. And one of those products is Miravis S, and we have found out that even with Miravis S, which you can put at heading, you get some efficacy, but it's not as good as applying that fungicide at flowering. So the best timing still remains flowering in order to get the best or to maximize the benefit of a fungicide to control Fusarium head blight. So another thing we've been looking at is evaluating several products, and as we've reported in the past, we do see an increase in dawn levels when we use astrobirin fungicide. So you really want to make sure that a strobe is not applied in wheat after heading because that can increase the level of mycotoxins in the grain. So you want to use triazoles, and also there's a new fungicide, as I mentioned, that has SDHI mode of action. That's Miravis S. So triazoles and a few SDHIs fungicides are the best fungicides to use to control Fusarium head blight. We are also looking at other diseases, including leaf spots like tan spot, like stagnospora, and also leaf rust diseases. But those are, we're evaluating those in non-misted plots that are not shown here. But in addition to Fusarium head blight, we also look at other foliar diseases that we need to control in wheat in order to maximize our yield and protect against yield loss caused by various fungal pathogens.